What was harder than you thought when you first started creating content?
Well, I feel like I'm an old dog learning new tricks constantly. And I always tell people I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I was a teacher, went to college for education, thought I was going to pursue being a principal and then a superintendent. But I held my first son in my arms the day he was born and everything flipped on its axis. I blogged every single day from 2009 to 2018 and really refined my writing craft. And that space provided me some time to kind of think about, like, what is my knack? And really it's boiling complex things down to make it simple and attainable for people. That just really taught me that your dreams aren't a conference call and you can't wait for other people to understand your dream. You got to pursue it anyway. I remember putting my first Google ad on and thinking, whoo, this is going to be great. And I think I earned 19 cents the first month. And I thought, wow, I can't even buy a bottle of water at Costco.
Love that.
World changer, history maker.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today joining me is my great friend, Erin Port. She is a wife, a mom of four, a podcaster, an author, and the founder of Simple Purposeful Living. So before we jump in, I want Erin just to tell us a little bit about her brand and her company.
Sure. Well, you could just keep going. I'm in a house full of teenagers, so I never get these accolades. But yes, I'm Erin Port. I am the founder of Simple Purposeful Living, and it is a lifestyle brand, e-commerce brand. I never fit in a good box, and Simple Purposeful Living doesn't fit in a good box either, but our mission is to help busy women simplify their lives one tiny tweak at a time. Oftentimes in life, people think that they need a life overhaul when things aren't going well, and I really call myself the James Clear of busy women, where I help them find tiny little tweaks that make them feel like they can make a change in their life, which gives them evidence to make bigger changes, to fall in love with the life that they have. So that's what we do at Simple Purposeful Living. Like you said, we have a weekly podcast. We have a full line of paper products that we sell on both Amazon and on our website. We have a book coming out in January that'll kind of be the anchor of our business, kind of my thesis of what I do, if you will. And we have a social media presence and speaker, all of the things.
Yes, I just think that is so cool. I'm excited for you to tell us more about your journey. And you went from being a teacher. I don't remember how long you were a teacher for, but tell us how you went from being a teacher to an entrepreneur. Like what inspired that?
It's a great question. And I always tell people I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I was a teacher, went to college for education. Actually, a month before our first child was born, I graduated with my master's in educational leadership. Thought I was going to pursue being a principal and then a superintendent. I've always been a leader and I was passionate about changing education, but I held my first son in my arms the day he was born and everything flipped on its axis. And I decided I wanted to stay home, which was not the plan. But if you know anything about teaching contracts, you sign it and you have to fulfill your obligation. So I finished that year and then stayed home. And while I loved staying home, I missed having a passion project. I was very passionate about helping refine education. I had gone into administration that final year. And being a stay-at-home mom, I missed that. So I started blogging back then. It was Blogspot back in the day, back in the dark ages at 2009. And really what bloggers wrote about back then was either their personal life, fashion, or cooking, recipes. And I didn't really fall into any of those categories, but day after day, I blogged every single day from 2009 to 2018 and really refined my writing craft. And that space provided me some time to kind of think about, like, what is my knack? What is it that people say maybe is my spiritual gift? And really it's boiling complex things down to make it simple and attainable for people. And so that's where Simple Purposeful Living was born out of. I started to see people could make money blogging and online. This was even before Instagram, social media marketing was even a thing. I have no design background, but I hired a design student at the University of Iowa to help me create my first product. I went into print shops. Nobody would print my product, but I just wouldn't take no for an answer. But I think that just really taught me that sometimes your dreams aren't a conference call, and you can't wait for other people to wait for you to for them to understand your dream. You got to pursue it anyway. So that's kind of my journey.
I love that. And as I was doing some research, you probably saw in the notes, I was on YouTube and I saw some of your first videos, your vlogs.
Yes.
And it's really cool to see where you came from and what those first YouTube videos look like compared to now. And I just think it's so interesting how we evolve and how that was 2009 when you started. So it's been 16 years.
16 years.
That's really crazy to think about. You've been doing this for that long, but the progress that you made and where you're at now. Take us kind of through the struggles and how you navigated. I mean, for me, starting this podcast, I knew nothing about podcasting and editing, and it sounds like you were resourceful and you seeked out a design student, and I kind of did the same thing and asked for help and tried to figure out, what would set me up to be successful. What did that look like from your first YouTube videos? I'm sure you were just recording with a phone or maybe an old camera. What's that look like? How did you kind of work through that and get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think being scrappy is a huge part of my story. I really struggled with imposter syndrome, and in many ways still do today because I don't have a business degree. But I have learned through the School of Hard Knocks, the search on Google, now AI, you can learn a lot of things when you're really passionate about it. Yep. And I think, as you said, I oftentimes tell my kids the bravest thing we can do is ask for help. And I have learned in my business to surround yourself with really smart people. And I would say back in the day, I remember I wanted to sell these products, and we were adopting at the time. And so this is part of my financial story, which we'll get to later, but we are a no debt company. So everything I do is paid in cash, and that's really important to me. But that meant that I had to really think about how can I do this cost effectively. And so I bought a secondhand computer and a secondhand printer, and I still have that secondhand printer.
Love that.
But I think just being willing to say, I don't know, but I'm going to learn.
Yep.
And as you said, you saw those first videos, being okay with being cringe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we want to be perfect out of the gate. I think there's this misnomer when we get to adulthood where we think we just should know everything and we should be really good at everything.
Right.
But allowing yourself to learn and be a beginner, that's pretty much the premise of Simple Purposeful Living. I'm helping women realize they can make a change, and it starts with just trying.
Yeah, I love that. I want to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, or as I say often to my clients, I want to pull back the onion.
I got a lot of layers.
Yeah, exactly. But you're an online influencer. I just think it's so interesting, just your business. Like you said, you don't have a business degree. Well, neither do I, right? I define myself as a learn as you go type of person, and you have to be okay with making mistakes. And I think when you get to that part in your business and recognize that and acknowledge that, you're going to go so much further. Because like you said, it might be cringy to look back on those YouTube videos, but how cool is it to see where you started and where you're at? You're an author. Like, how amazing,
yes.
Right? So you're online a bit as an influencer. How do you decide, what to share and what not to share? And talk about a little bit too how you balance that, so that I know you're really good at it, but not having your phone out all the time and recording everything that happens in your life. Like, how do you balance that, and how do you decide what to share and not to share?
Well, I appreciate the encouragement, because that is my goal, that I would live my real life, not tied to my phone. I don't want to have my nose in my phone and have the world pass me by. It has evolved over the years. I've always said I started in 2009, and it was the wild, wild west, right? There is a lot of stuff that I have deleted off the internet for the protection of my children. I have a 16, 14, 10, and 8-year-old now. And so what I share online definitely has changed, because their friends, their teachers, their social circles follow me online. And so I have to be cognizant not only of what I'm sharing and my reputation, but theirs as well. And since so much of my content is lifestyle related, mom related, family related, I need to do it in a way that's authentic, but also protective of them. So we have this relationship where my kids know they can say to me, Mom, don't post this online. Or what is this photo for? And I'll say, it's just for my own photo book or whatever. And if they say, like, I don't want that shared, great. No, there's no conversation. I won't share it online. And they know that. And I always will say my family comes first. Content is very bottom on the list. But yeah, I think also having stuff that's just for you is really sacred in today's world. Stuff that you can just say, you know what, that's just for me. And that feels really special. I've actually pulled back a lot on my personal social media. I don't even use Facebook or Instagram personally anymore. There's just something sacred in a world where everything is shared to hold something close for only your heart.
I think that being a business owner, you're online a lot more than I am, but I think you have to set boundaries, and I've learned that too, just with my phone in general, and setting those boundaries as an entrepreneur and a business owner has set me up for more success and to be able to balance better because, like you said, you're a wife and a mom before you are a content creator, and I think that sometimes we lose sight of that. And it's really easy to do as a entrepreneur. What was harder than you thought when you first started creating content? Like, was it the technicalities of learning how to make the reels and the YouTube videos, or was it coming up with the content? What was the hardest part of that?
Well, I feel like I'm an old dog learning new tricks constantly. I really think I really should hire a teenager. You know how they just know how to use your phone? Like my kids will be like, hand over your phone, Mom.
I think my 4-year-old niece can make a reel.
So I think competing's not even the right word, but keeping up with today's technology and trying to stay in my own lane, not emulate somebody else. For me, to be honest, I'm a faith-oriented person. So when it comes to content, I'm always asking God every single day, what is it that you want me to share with the world? Yes. What is it that they need to hear from me today? I mean, that is my constant prayer every morning. So that piece I feel like comes flowing from my heart. It's okay, are we doing carousels now? Or are we doing reels? Are we doing flat laser out? You know, whatever it is, and kind of navigating the ever-changing culture. I think that's the hardest for me. And then again, that imposter syndrome of like, wow, they're growing like wildfire and I'm over here like a little tortoise, and not growing weary and doing good. I think it goes back to my mission and having to, like even this morning on the way here, just praying and having a conversation like, God, this is my mission. It's you that gets to decide the outcome, and ultimately just help me to use it for your glory.
Yeah, I love that because, well, they'll know now, but that's how Erin and I met is through Connection Group at our church. And I think that we have a lot in common when it comes to, I mean, first and foremost, I want to build a business that, you know, God is proud of and that puts him first. And that's really hard to do sometimes, especially when you toe that line of, I want to be successful, but for your glory. And I just think that that's so hard. And I think we're always learning.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the point of this podcast, right? Is we're always refining and getting better through that process. So you started a podcast.
Yep.
How does that change how you interact with your audience? Or do you think that you were able to be a little bit more creative with that and use your voice? Because not that your content doesn't, I mean, you're talking a lot on your content, obviously, but how does that change how you interact with your audience, or did it change at all?
I started to feel this pull. So blogging used to be where we would get a lot of our longer form content, right? People used to be readers.
Yeah.
It's not the case anymore. People don't like to read long form content as much as they used to. And so there's just certain conversations that I wanted to have with my audience that I couldn't have in a 90-second clip, or worse yet, a 6-second reel. I mean, it's just hard to convey how do you simplify your life in 6 seconds, right?
Right.
And so I felt this pull that I wanted to go deeper into these conversations with my audience, and the platform to do that was with podcasting, because busy women are in their car a lot, or they're out walking, or they're folding laundry, and they can be listening to me in their ear, have these conversations that then they can go and apply in their life. And so I think the podcast is a great platform for that. We're on YouTube so people can watch as well. But I have loved, and then here's the cool thing, and I think you're going to find this with yours, is when you have a mic, you get to invite really cool people to the conversation, and you get to learn from other people and invite people in that your audience can learn from. And I have loved that, having an opportunity and a reason to invite people into the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I kicked around the idea of starting a podcast for probably 2 years, and
I've been praying for you for 2 years. Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to and that's, again, trusting God, but you just have to jump in and trust your own abilities too. But my reasoning for it was just I felt like I was missing that creative outlet. I love talking. I think we both do. But so is there a reason, like you said, for me to talk to my friends, and I just wanted it to be a conversation. If I wouldn't probably sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, then I probably don't want to invite you on my podcast. But that's kind of the relationship and the vibe that I was going for, is these unfiltered, real, raw, honest conversations with people that I know, and they have a place in my life. So yeah, just like you, that I was looking for that creative outlet, and I've enjoyed listening to a lot of your podcasts. And I think the variety of guests that you have is really, I think that's probably what keeps the audience coming back, is you sometimes sharing things about your family and yourself, but then also inviting these guests that they specialize in their own industries, right? At what point did you realize, because again, you're in a very interesting space.
Yes, I don't fit in a box. We'll go back to that.
Right. But at what point did you realize that this isn't just something I'm doing, it's a business, and it's real, and I can actually make money from this? And when did you realize that? Was it after you started writing the blogs and started making YouTubes, or?
Yeah, so I think I knew I could start to see the trajectory that ads were getting put on blogs, right? And so I remember putting my first Google ad on and thinking, woo, this is going to be great. And I think I earned 19 cents the first month. And I thought, wow, I can't even buy a bottle of water at Costco. But I could start to see the trend. Now, the trick is, when you start to monetize, is getting crystal clear on what and how you want to monetize, because a lot of opportunities will come your way, whether that's through, a sponsored post, or, talking about a product and affiliate links, and for me, with Simple Purposeful Living, it's really important that the way I monetized honored what I was doing. And so I created a product line. We monetized the podcast. We monetized the website. I don't do a lot of sponsored work because my goal is simplification. And so I don't want to tell people to go out and buy all these things, right? So keeping that idea of what is my business model and how do I want to monetize in a way that's true to what I do has been really important. And I think it was really important to me all along to be flexible for my family. Again, I have 4 kids. Life is very full, not busy, full, and I'm going to miss these days. But being flexible for them in this season's also really important. So how can I create an income that also supports the lifestyle that I want to have? And that is what Simple Purposeful Living has afforded.
Yeah, love that. What would you say that you've learned about being a successful business owner? What is one thing that you think has, helped take you from here to here? In terms of business, not necessarily with your content and stuff, but on the business side of things.
Well, it's funny that you say successful. Don't we have an interesting relationship with that word? So I appreciate that you say that. I'm really hard on myself. I'm like, if they only knew. But hands down, number one thing, I will never do business without accountability and coaching. Hands down. As a solopreneur for many years, I now have a team. The buck stops with you. And there are a lot of hard decisions. I was working through a decision this morning. Do I continue to do this? Do I stop this? And having somebody on my side that knows my business, that's a separate entity, has a different perspective to speak into the business has been paramount in being able to launch this business to the next level. And I started with coaching way back. It was called Mom Blog School back in like 2011. I started that. And then I went to a group coaching mastermind situation. And now I do one-on-one coaching. But again, knowing that I want to surround myself with people that are really smart, that can help my business grow is huge. And I think in the beginning, I was scared to ask for help because I thought it would make me look like I didn't know what I was doing. But again, going back to what I tell my kids all the time, sometimes the bravest thing you can do and the smartest thing you can do in your business is ask for help.
I agree. And I think, so I've actually talked about this on the previous episodes. And one thing that I learned, and I think when you go into a space, so you were a teacher, so you're used to teaching, right? When you go into a space that you're not familiar with, which I was a biology major, was going to school to be a doctor, and now I'm in finance. This is a whole new world in a sense. I knew that I needed to be a sponge. And sometimes I can be a know-it-all. But I think that just comes a little bit with my personality. And so me seeking out help as well in my business. I've always had a coach for at least the last 3 years, and I'm in this program. And I think that I have taken leaps and bounds. It's nice to have somebody call you out and have accountability, because when it's just you, and I don't have any staff right now either. And so when you're by yourself, it's hard to make some of those decisions. And so I commend you, because having a coach is not always easy, and having someone to hold you accountable and ask questions to is not the easiest thing in the world, but I think it sets you up for success. And would you agree that you wouldn't be where you are today without a coach and a team and someone guiding you?
Absolutely. There's a story. The first month I hired my business coach, she said to me, and I'll never forget it, it's actually in my book that I wrote coming out in January, but she said, why are you willing to invest in your business but not willing to invest in a counselor for your soul? And I called the counselor that I knew I needed to call the next day. She called me out. So it has been life-changing beyond the business, because she knows that in order to be successful in the business, I got to take care of myself. And so often as entrepreneurs, what I have seen and witnessed is in order to succeed in one area, we let everything else go. And I don't have that luxury as a mom and a wife and a daughter of Christ to just let everything else go. Like, I only get to do this one life, so I want to do it well.
I agree. That's really good. Let's shift and talk about business a little bit. So the business side of Simple Purposeful Living, how, and you and I have had conversations about this, personally, but what does that look like from a financial standpoint? And share what you'd like to and what you feel comfortable with. But as far as I know that Scott, your husband, he works a job, and you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes when we're entrepreneurs, we don't have the same paycheck coming in every single month, and so that can be sometimes hard to balance and figure out, what does that look like? I mean, you have a family of 6. How does financial planning fit into that? And how have maybe you tweaked things in your budget to fit that and to make sure that you're planning accordingly and making smart financial decisions?
Well, since Simple Purposeful Living, obviously, since 2009, it's been a slow grow, right? So we went from making 19 cents on ads to more. And during COVID, it was record-breaking years for us, which was great. And so we went from not relying on my paycheck to then me bringing in a paycheck and that being part of the the monthly allowance or monthly budget, to then the years following COVID being really hard. And I shared with our connection group, I had to take a pay cut. As the leader of our business, it was important that leaders go first. And I was the first one to say, okay, the business isn't going, it's my paycheck that's on the line. And so those are hard conversations, right? It affected my family. I hated that. I think when you are an entrepreneur, again, there's no safety net. You don't have a salary. And that is something that I wrestle with, right? There are days where I'm like, I just want to go work a 9-to-5 job and have a secure income and not have to worry about it. But not enough not to have the job that I have because I feel so passionate about it. I think the other thing, I kind of alluded to it, we're a no debt company. We started Simple Purposeful Living in 2018. We had started the adoption process for our youngest son in 2017. And I've always felt very adamantly, and God has never changed my mind on this, that I don't want Simple Purposeful Living to be a liability to my family or to my kids. And I know every company is different, but that's just how I've led, which means we've grown a little slower. The inventory that we can buy as far as like our products that we sell and ship to Amazon and on our website, I have to buy smaller quantities because I pay cash. But I think in that growing slower, it has allowed me to iterate and learn and be scrappy and, keep my pulse on the business. I keep a profit and loss sheet, and I'm looking at that all the time. Do we need that subscription? As a small business, I don't know about you, but you could bleed money on the number of subscriptions
100%. You have no idea.
It is insane. And I think another misnomer with people is they think you just, because it's an e-commerce business, you have 100% profit. But I think what a lot of people don't know is it costs money to run a website. It costs money to
Everything costs
edit
money.
this podcast, right? And so being in my business and knowing where is the money going, it's just like anything else. If you don't know where it's going, it's going to slip out. But having a pulse, and I'm not micromanaging, but saying like constantly, do we still need this? Is it still serving our company? Is this the best stewardship of our money? That did not come naturally to me. I mean, Scott, when he listens, my husband is going to laugh. That's how far I've come. But now I budget at home and I budget in the business, and it just makes me feel more confident. I don't want to go to bed at night worried about money. I think it would thwart the creativity and what I'm designed to do. So anyway, that's kind of my financial, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting that you said that I think that if you were, I love that you choose the sponsorships and things like that, because it would be really easy to have the mindset of, well, if we take this on and we have this sponsorship, it could increase revenue by this much. But now it takes away from you just doing what you do. Yeah, and just being creative.
So point in case, I had an opportunity. I've been a brand spokesperson on TV for various brands, and it has been lucrative. And they came back this year and they offered me a sizable increase, 50% increase in pay. It would have been really easy for me to say yes. But my business coach said to me, how does this align with your business and what you're doing? Where does it fit in? And again, going back to, she had a different perspective of, I've just read the book, Science of Scaling. I don't know if you've read it, but raising the floor so that you're focusing and scaling in the right ways. So I actually said no to that. And that just seems crazy, but sometimes we hold on to these safety nets, these revenues, thinking, okay, but this will pay the bills. And sometimes we kind of have to step out in faith. And it's crazy. Later that day, we got a new brand sponsorship for the podcast. And so it's, wow. So sometimes it's almost like it's biblical, putting your step out in the water, putting your foot out there and saying, okay, God, I trust you, and that he would provide.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I think that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's hard to, I too have a lot of things that I could spend money on. There's always something new with technology. A lot of it has to do with technology with me. I mean, you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. And a lot of people do. They don't think first on, how does this benefit my company? Will it change what I'm already doing? Will it make things simpler for me? Or is it just another thing, that I can sign up for, because everything sounds great in the moment, but it's like taking a step back and like seeing the bigger picture and fitting it into your budget. Like, does it actually fit? Would you consider yourself a saver or a spender?
Oh, well, my dad would say I love spending other people's money.
Who doesn't?
But when it comes to me, I'll hold that penny in my pocket all day long. Actually, that is one of the things my business coach has helped me the most with. She has this saying with me that says, cheap money don't make money. And I'm really very, very tight with my business money. I earned it. It's hard work, right? And I also feel like I've told you this many times, you're a financial advisor. I feel like I am a financial advisor for Simple Purposeful Living. God owns the company. I'm stewarding it. And I want to be very intentional about how I spend my money. And even, it sounds so silly, but even this month I signed up for a subscription. It asked me to do it for the year. I thought it was going to be great. It was for SEO on my website, and it's garbage. And I'm like, I got hoodwinked. And so like those little things, I'm like.
And you did the year.
Yeah, I did the year. So mad at myself, right? But I kick myself. But money mistakes. I learned. We all learn. And now I'm going to ask myself a few more questions, or try the free trial for 7 days and see if I really like it. There was no free trial. But
okay, so as we finish up, so this is something that I'm going to implement on my podcast with guests, is refined and unfiltered rapid fire. So it's not going to be like as rapid as you think, but here's some questions to finish out. I know that you talk a lot about in your reels and on social media. Well, number one, it doesn't have to be fancy to feed your family. That has stuck with me. It's ingrained in my brain, which I'm sure a lot of other women have it in theirs too. But family dinner seems to be important to you. And family dinner was important to me growing up, and we didn't get to have it a lot. My mom had 3 kids, and then obviously my brother was born later. I was kind of grown, but we tried to sit at the table as much as we could. Why are they important to you?
They were always important to me. It was a way to connect. But when we brought our youngest home by adoption, I did a lot of reading on bonding and connection, and family dinners kept coming to the surface as like I wouldn't say easy way, because we all know family dinners do not always go easily. But it was a way for people to feel connected and bonded. And so I always say awareness is your superpower. So when you know why something matters, you're way more intentional at doing it. And so family dinners then became that much more important, because I knew when we circled up that I was able to connect with everyone. Now, here's a caveat that was really helpful for me when I was a young mom. I met this older woman, and she said, "Did you have dinner every night as a kid?" And I said, "Yeah, we always sat around the table." She goes, "My guess is you didn't." Here's the point of that, is consistency is not the same as perfection. And I think so often we get wrapped up in, I need to have dinner every night at the family, and it needs to look like this, when really we look at a life over the span of decades. We have our kids for 18 years. Are we the majority of the time sitting down as a family, as much as we consistently and intentionally can? Does that look different now that I have a 16, 14, 10, and 8-year-old? Absolutely, right? But on Sunday after church, we always have lunch as a family.
I love that.
And so I always want to encourage people, perfection and consistency are 2 different things.
Yes. We talked about this.
That was not rapid fire. I'm sorry.
We talked about this a little bit, because you said I'd be interested, but what's one thing that you'd be willing to share that most people don't know about you?
Okay, so I have social anxiety. Does that surprise you?
Yes.
It surprises everybody. So here's the thing. I moved every 2 years growing up, and I had a little girl one time say, "Are you just snooty or are you shy?" And it just kind of hit me, like my shyness was being perceived as snootiness. And so I learned, having moved every 2 years, how to show up to a room and be engaging and make people feel seen and known. But every time I go to an event or am with people, even connection group, I have to talk myself into it.
That's crazy to me, because I've known you for, 4 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe not quite 5.
It's felt like a lifetime.
Yeah. But, I mean, you always show up, and I would never have guessed that about you.
Sometimes you just have to choose to do the hard thing.
Yeah. What's one refinement, whether it be like a tool, a habit, or a routine that has improved your business?
Oh, okay. I think what gets measured gets done has been paramount in my business. And so I keep track of my goals. I always have something that I'm aiming for. I think that that's really important. I heard one time, if you ignore it, it doesn't make it go away. It just, like, ignorance is not bliss. And I think just being very intentional about keeping my eyes on the business, knowing what's going on. I promise I'm not a micromanager, but I just think it's really important to know what's going on and to have a good pulse on it.
Mm-hmm. What's the best money advice you've ever received?
It's just a tool. You have the power to wield it for good or bad. I think that's so really good. Important. And I've told my kids that too, right? Time is the same. Time is just a tool. Mm-hmm. It's not the enemy. What we do with it is up to us.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst money mistake you've ever made?
Well, besides the subscription this month. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is going to make me look bad, and that's okay.
No, it won't. We're not judgmental here.
I used to be a little more into vanity metrics in my 20s. I'm in my 40s now, and I really don't care anymore. But my husband had this ugly car. It was ugly. It had this ugly caboose. And anyway, I was like, that is so ugly. We need a new car. And so we bought this Saturn. I can't remember what the brand, but it was an SUV. And that thing was a lemon. It needed a brand new transmission at 75,000 miles. Oh. Like, it just was. And it just taught me a lesson of, like, who are you trying to impress? Like, I should have just stuck with the ugly car. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. I think a lot of people are looking at us. And I tell women this all the time. Nobody's looking at you in a bathing suit. They're all looking at themselves. It's the same with everything in life.
I agree.
And so it taught me a valuable lesson. Don't spend money to make yourself look good. It's not worth it.
Love that. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing at the start of your journey, what would it be?
I always get a little emotional because this is what I wrote to my kids in the book. But that if you fall down, get back up. Don't quit too soon. Dreams take a lot of hard work. I think people think, I love that you went back and looked at me in the beginning, because people look at you, I think, in one snapshot of time and think, wow, she got really lucky. Or they think if God wants this, God will provide favor for it. But my business coach said to me the other day, sometimes God gives us things to refine us and make us better. And she said, I think God gave you simple, purposeful living to change your life for the better and refine you. And so I would just say, don't give up. Keep going. The fruit is there, but sometimes it takes a long time before the harvest comes.
I love that. I want to expand on that just for a second because I actually had just told my networking group this just a couple days ago, that most businesses fail within the first 5 years, and most people give up in the first 5 years. And it's really sad because that 5-year mark is where you're probably going to start to see some growth. And it's really interesting because seeds that I planted 2 years ago are coming to fruition. And I've wanted to quit several times. And I think it's just the will to keep going and to, like you said, be willing to get back up after you've made the mistakes, or that you feel like it's not working, and just keep going. Just putting one foot in front of the other and taking the next step and having faith that God's going to provide.
And until he tells you to stop,
100%.
I think that's a huge thing too, right? Like, until he tells you to stop, which he's not told me to stop, then you just keep going. And again, I think for the longest time, I was waiting for other people to believe in the dream that I had. But again, it wasn't a conference call. Nobody else was on that call with God. And there will always be people in my life. I still have them. I'm like, maybe the book will finally make them believe what I do is legit. But I've kind of come to full circle. Like, I think it says more about them that they can't support me than it says anything about me.
Yeah. Erin, before we wrap up, what is one tiny tweak that you would leave with the listeners?
Surround yourself with really smart people. Be the dumbest person in the room.
I love it. Okay, so for those that are listening that want to learn from you and continue to follow you, whether that's signing up for your newsletter, I just gave you one way that you can follow Erin. But what's the best place to connect with you, and how can they connect with you?
Yep, we're Simple Purposeful Living on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. That's our website. And yes, sign up at simplepurposefulliving.com/email.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening, and be sure to tune in next time. Check out Erin at Simple Purposeful Living, and we'll see you guys next time.
History maker. We gon' make some history tonight. We gon' make some history.